here's Max. Max, what would you like to say to the viewers today? Oh, that's so nice. He's smelling my lip gloss. So hello, precious souls. It's time for a daily reading. I always tell myself I'm going to keep these short and sweet, so I'll get the content of the reading done right away. And if you want to keep watching, you can, because I'll likely drone on about current energies or something. So we are in this container between the eclipses, and depending on your chart, and I highly recommend that you talk to an astrologer or see if you can find out a little bit. I found a Leo King YouTube video from a couple of days ago, and they were talking about Taurus North Node, Scorpio South Node, because that's the eclipse that we had just entered into that. And the nodal cycles are 18.6 years long. So if you are 18, if you are 30, let's see, 18 and 18 is 36. If you're 36 or 37, or if you're 54, 55, yeah, then it's going to really rock your boat. And man, are we ever purging the dark stuff, not the dark stuff, the unconscious stuff. And I'm starting to get a grip in this moment of, okay, dark and light balance. What if the dark is just the unknown? What if the shadow material is just what's buried and not seen? Relegated to the shadow in psychological terms means that you can't afford to look at it for whatever reason you put it there. And now you can afford to look at it, you just don't know it yet. And then when it gets shoved in your face, the reason you go through a crisis is because the reason you put it there is because you believed that you couldn't deal with it. Likely you could not because you were a child, or you just weren't, you hadn't achieved a level of growth that I'm droning on already about the shadow, but dealing with the shadow requires a foundation of self-love, and that just takes time and development and so forth. And so when we go through certain experiences and we don't have enough self-love as a foundation to really be aware and present through that experience, then we go into all sorts of unconscious defense mechanism stuff and stuff like that. So I feel like this time I'm going through this with like I was going to say this. I was like, there's this Saturn energy to all of this that is moving us through it very slowly and deliberately. And it's giving us the space and the time to really look around and check in, feel the feelings, observe, bring all of our goodies to it, our consciousness, our love, our curiosity, our trust, our faith, our hope, that what we see will not destroy us. Because that's the fear. When it gets relegated there, it's because there's a little child that can't deal with it. But when it gets thrust in your face and then like you have to look at stuff, sometimes we're forced into realizing we have the capacity to see it and own it. And once you do, there's just this incredible feeling of power and confidence. It's like, oh, I've handled this before. I can handle it again. I can afford to listen. I can afford for someone to tell me that I'm wrong, or that I've hurt them, or there's something I'm not seeing here. There's something I'm afraid. There's something I'm covering up. So anyway, let's just do a mini reading. Eight of Spades. This is a card of strength. When I woke up this morning, I was like, what do I feel? I said, I feel strength. I feel an energy of strength. So I went to a Hatha yoga class. And we have the Four of Spades, which is the card of home. Home. What's home? What is that place that feels secure, where you can let your nervous system relax? You don't have to be in a protective mode. You don't have to be on task. You don't have to be presentable. You can just be yourself and feel safe and protected. 10 of Clubs. This is the shit show we're going through. This is all the stuff in our heads. This is the mind. Clubs are mind, 10 is a lot of something. But I have named this the paradigm shifter because people who are this card, like, let me just throw out a few names Joseph Campbell, Nelson Mandela, Madonna, lover or hater, paradigm shifter. Um, God, there's a couple other really big ones. Those are big enough, though. Those are big paradigm shifters. So, this energy within you is saying it's time to shift your paradigm. And I heard something from the Leo King that was just spot on. It was actually this gal that was presenting with him. She was really great. And she said, as long as you just keep moving forward and moving through this, don't get caught up in the wake of looking behind you. Don't caretake those who will be left in a place of change. You're shaking it up. If you're changing it, other people around you, whoever you've made contracts and agreements with, they're going to feel it too. Some people may drop out of your life. Others may come in and are more like, wow, this person used to trigger me, but now I really need their energy. It feels really good to me. These changes and moving forward is about, okay, I don't know where this is going and I don't want to hurt anybody, but I have to keep moving forward and asking myself, what is the new? Okay, so this is an interesting card. They didn't give us the Ace of Clubs, they gave us the Ten of Clubs. And Robert Camp, the guy that wrote the book about these cards, he didn't write the system because it's really ancient. He just wrote destiny cards and love cards. He said the one represents a new beginning, and the zero is about having been around the block, past life. So this card is building on the knowledge that you've accumulated in past lives to enter into something completely new and different. I believe that this applies to our whole world. I listen to Cliff High. I usually avoid him because he doesn't have a faith connection. He doesn't have a God connection that lets him know it's going to be okay. So he tends to default to really dark shit and then he kind of projects it on the listener so he doesn't have to wear it. And it's a terrible thing to do to people. I don't have to feel this fear because I'm the one who's warning everyone. And it's like, come on. But anyway, his last video with Catherine Edwards is really substantively hopeful. He's just reading the markers. So I encourage you guys to go find that. Catherine Edwards, her channel, and her interview with Cliff High. Four of Hearts is the emotional feeling of security and safety. And this is really, these fours, they're homeopathic medicine that you get injected with restlessness, or I don't know what I want, or I feel insecure. And a lot of that may have been coming up. And the fours are, you create it for yourself. This has to be self-sourced security, self-sourced, I'm home. What does it take to make you feel like you're home? So sometimes you just have to keep on with the uncomfortable till you get to that clarity about what's going to make me feel safe. And it's hard. It's hard to ride that. But if we can gain a sense of our own strength, a tolerance um, for this journey that we're on, these are all cards I've been drawing for myself, and be willing to have the full experience of it, to be really present to the experience that we're having, it can really open up to a completely new paradigm and a new perspective. So applying this on a global scale, this can represent the military, but it's also just a very can do. I'm strong. I have the resources. I have the troops to back me up. I'm going to do this thing, and I'm absolutely positive that I can and that I will. I will. And it's a spade. So it's not just I believe that I will, or it's important to me to value that I will. It's like, no, I'm going to follow this up with action. I am following this up with action. And we're seeing that. We have reached that tipping point, and it gives me so much overwhelming joy to feel the collective, um, and the joy that is meeting them in their experience of activism, their experience of getting out on the streets. And they're like, yeah, maybe my personal life is a shit show right now, but this is really important. I'm going to get out on the street again this weekend with my family. Hey, you going? You going out on the street again? Me too. Hey, why don't you bring a pint for later? And that's happening all over the world. And this, I believe this is what we've come here for, is this moment in galactic history. And it's not just Earth history, it's, it's galactic. And to be sharing this moment with each other and be like, wow, here we are, and finding each other, and everything else falls to the wayside. And there's this unification and this coming together, and it's across, hi, Chris, and it's across all strata of society. And that's the really, really beautiful thing, is that it took something really dark and forceful and nefarious to say, you're gonna do this, to make everybody stand up and say, I don't think that's right for anyone. And I will stand with my brothers and sisters in defending and protecting free will and freedom. If I have this with me, I will show you. So I have a friend that follows the Lakota tradition. I'll go on with the global interpretation of the rest of these cards in a second, but I think this is really important to share if I have it. Yes. She follows the Lakota tradition, and she married a Lakota, had a child long time ago, and when she sings the songs to call in horse medicine, she sang the horse song to call in the dragons. She's like, how do I call in the dragons? Because Lakotas don't have dragons. And Chris, the dragon guy, is here. So they told her, sing the horse song. And man, when she sings, it's like being in the presence of a grandmother, and the accent is just right. It doesn't sound like a white person singing a Lakota song. There's just this amazing energy, and she's a Capricorn, this deep earth energy, and she works with the grandmothers. And this symbol came to her, and this represents free will. And so she's just been putting this everywhere energetically, putting it over the schools, the churches, the governments, every structure. I'll share a post to various groups that I'm in, that she found somebody else is really on top of how the dragons are playing a role in bringing free will to all the systems that have been used to capture free will, which is just like, that's just not what this universe was intended for. It's a violation of the Patel, which is us, calling this universe into being. Star Wars, it's the perfect thing, the balance in the Force. I keep hearing that word, balance, 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 bringing balance. So, yeah, I kind of resist that in my mind, because I'm like, I want the light to win, but the fact is that is balance, because it's gone out of balance, because this has been taken away and manipulated. But what has it caused? It's caused our free will, our strength to rise up and be exercised against resistance. That's how you build a muscle. So we arranged all of this, and it's going marvelously. Okay, so the next card is the Four of Spades. How does this apply on a global level? What is home? I think this is Earth. This is us claiming our earthling status. We had to be born into this flesh, to this DNA, to this system in order to flip it. And we are earthlings, and we can call this our home. I don't think of this place as home, and I think most light workers don't. But why don't we? Why can't we just like say, hey, I'm going to move to Earth for a while and set up shop and be there because it's really cool. I'm going to call it home for a while. And maybe that's what we're doing, is like, hey, how do we clean up this place so we can call it home? But I think this really is the alchemical energy of, I deserve to feel safe, and I'm going to create that for myself. The yoga class that I went to today, she taught us this mudra. So tuck your thumb or your finger all the way into that joint, and then touch this here. You can just leave these fingers, and if you rest it on your lap with your palms down. It's really easy to relax. That is about immunity, boundaries, strengthening your own definition, what you allow in to nourish and nurture, what you disallow because it's toxic. This is immune system boosting and it's boundaries. So saying, I know what feels safe to me, and the adult in me is going to create safety for myself. And there is an authority that comes with that spade energy. So that's just so exciting. It's so wonderful to feel that in the collective. And this, of course, is the paradigm shifting. The card that sits under this is the Jack of Spades, which is the card of initiation, spiritual initiation. It's like that, it's like near death experience. It's ayahuasca. It's like Byron Katie's massive awakening after the cockroach crawled on her, and she had this split second of, wow, I'm coming out of a place of complete, absolute neutrality where there is no mind. And she had this Satori moment. I've just kind of been touching base with that. But, you know, those kinds of moments that turn our world inside out, upside down, and we're like, wow, this isn't what I thought it was. This is the Great Awakening. But what are we awakening to? I think, what I'm seeing just energetically with this card is it's like a bunch of networks. It's blue lines connecting nodal points. Maybe it's the original blueprint of Earth. I think that's partly what the Great Awakening is. I think it's, the awakening to the truth of who and what we are. But when you're in that moment of, enlightenment and transcendence, you're not separate. There's this cohesive, I'm a part of everything. I live, breathe, and move as this one. And I think that's what this is. This feels like becoming aware of that whole system. And I just want to emphasize at the end of the reading here, this right here, the Four of Hearts, is just this sweet, emotional safety. I feel like I'm home. And I had a full circle moment. Sometimes I think I bring too much personal stuff into these readings, but what the hell, I'm going to do it. So in this yoga class that I was today, brand new class, I'd never been there before, to this particular class, and the teacher was probably my age, and everybody was my age or older, and it was so safe. It was so safe. And yet everybody there was just a grown-up, really serious about their practice, but there was no pressure. It was just, there was such an amazing safety, and I just went, wow, I really feel held. I feel really supported by this group. And even this man was groaning in pain and agony right in front of me. And I'm like, dude, you're pushing too hard, And I was like, let go, let go. It just kept triggering me. And I was like, he's having his experience, and this group is supporting him. He was yakking it up with someone before class, and I was like, whatever he's experiencing, he feels supported by this group. I was just kind of tapping into this, which was a complete opposite of, let's see, I think it was 8 years ago, 2013, probably, November. And I had a repressed memory of sexual abuse come up. And the experience of, like, it wasn't the specific memory of what happened, because that's really unclear. It was this earthquake of a massive paradigm shift that my psyche decided it was time for. And it all started with this. I was in a yoga class with a bunch of older people, and I'd been to this class many times. I knew the teacher, gentle guy, and I was in child's pose, surrounded by, old people. I hate to say it that way because I'm kind of getting there, but, just the safety. And in the middle of that class, I felt, I was like, oh my God, everyone's looking at me. And I know that isn't true, but I feel that. I feel so exposed, so naked, so not safe. And I was like, I know that's not true. I know it's not true. And it spun itself up into a mother panic attack that lasted 24 hours, and it was the most terrifying, devastating, traumatic experience I've ever had in my life. And I'm still integrating that from time to time. The residual of that has been present with me, and I know what it's like to feel like you're on the edge of losing control to fear. Um, Nonetheless, here I was in a very similar situation. The class was brand new, and I was reaching out. I was like, I want to meet the world. I feel met by the world. I feel safe in the world. It was just such a beautiful, full circle experience for me. So, this experience of coming home, really beautiful. So, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. And Chris, thank you always for, I thank your guides for always showing you when I'm online and to come and just be with me and support me, because I know that more is being shared than just my words or my insights or whatever. There's an energetic that is us, that is the collective, and we keep putting that vibration out. This is where we are. This is what we're learning, and we're here to support each other. Maybe it's just as simple as Solzhenitsyn, is that the guy that wrote the Brothers K? It is important that we simply come together and know that we're not alone. Blessings. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Peace be with you.